Welcome to Soul Wellness with Kristen, where we get into the nitty-gritty of various holistic modalities and explore exactly how they help you heal. I'm your host, Kristen, and I invite you to join me on this enlightening expedition where we explore the connection between mind, body, and spirit. In each episode, we'll talk in depth with holistic providers, medical professionals, therapists, and healers. Our goal is to empower you with knowledge, inspire you with stories of resilience, and provide practical tools that you can integrate into your daily life. So, find a comfortable space and join us as we explore the multifaceted world of holistic wellness. Get ready to learn how to improve every aspect of your life and simply feel good. The adventure begins now. Thank you for joining us. Today, I have two very special guests with me that are tenants at Soul Wellness, and both have been on this podcast before. We have Michael Anthony and Dr. Jessica Watson, and today we are going to talk about showing up for yourself. So welcome, guys.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes. So start us off, Michael. Talk about showing up for yourself.
Showing up for myself has changed through the years because I thought showing up for myself meant showing up for other people and putting myself second or subservient. And I realized I had to claim my power back and show up for myself because when my tank is full, I end up giving so much more. Mm-hmm. And I also thought I was just a super kind person, but I also realized my kindness was also my way of getting filled up. If I showed up for people, that was my way of mistakenly thinking I would receive love back. So it's been a journey of learning what actually showing up for myself means and realizing that it's also not a selfish journey.
Well, it's kind of like the whole airplane situation too. Take care of your oxygen mask before you start taking care of the people around you, because you can't take care of anyone around you if you have not taken care of yourself.
That was a moment after I had a lot of death in my life. A friend of mine asked me to give a session for free to somebody. And in the past, I would have been like, yeah, sure, no problems. But I realized in that moment, I didn't have anything in me. So I said no. And this person got really, really mad at me. And I had to sit in that for a moment. And I realized, wait, your friend needs someone who has a full tank or a close to full tank. If I'm half-assing myself, I'm actually half-assing them. And I realized that I needed to show up for myself. I was kind about it. I told them, if you need someone, I have people owe me favors. I can help you out that way. But I had to realize I can't keep squeezing and squeezing when there's nothing left to give. Especially for the first time in my life, everything stopped in a space where I had so much death in my life. I had to take care of myself. Mm-hmm. So it was a huge lesson for me.
That's interesting too. When I first heard about this topic, the first thing that came up for me was setting boundaries for myself, is how I show up for myself externally. And that's exactly what you just said, Michael, especially us as in this role as healers. We're giving so much, but we need to be contained within that. And that helps not just us, but the people we serve. And that's a huge way to show up for ourselves.
And just to preface, I didn't introduce you guys and what you do. So if someone has not heard our podcast before, you both have been on before. But Michael, you work with people kind of on an energetic level, showing up for people, holding space for people. And it can be very draining for you if you don't take care of yourself. And then Jessica is a doctor of ancient Chinese medicine, acupuncturist, and she does so many fabulous things. She's not just an acupuncturist, she's amazing. So I can see how you both could get very easily drained and almost fold at the end of the day if you aren't taking care of yourself properly.
That was another lesson when I first started out, because when you step into this world of energy work, and it's a combination of hypnotherapy, energy work, intuitive guidance, but I realized when I first started out, I was getting my worth in the sessions. So I would look up, and there were times 7 hours went by in a session.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oops, we went over a little bit. It was such a weird thing. But I realized at some point, wait, am I doing this for me or them? They were getting a lot out of it, but I started really checking in, where is my self-worth in this space? It's not my responsibility to fix everybody's problem in one gigantic session too. Because as much as I love the flow of that energy, I was on my back for the next 3 days. I couldn't get off the ground. So I had to learn that whole process of what is the container, because if it's the container for me that's perfect for me or beneficial for me to hold it, that also means the person receiving it, it's the right timing for them too. So it's been a real long journey on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I got lucky throughout my whole leading up to this, in my training, there was a huge emphasis on energetic boundaries from the get-go. We had to cultivate these Qigong practices, and just there was always this dialogue about energetic boundaries and what that means, and how in between patients you go wash your hands energetically, clean yourself, and you bring the energy. Yes, it'll move through your body, but I also like to keep it rooted in your hands at times. So I just think I got really lucky in that way, and I was set up. But I think if I would have also went something straight into like intuitive work like you have, Michael, then I would have struggled with the same things.
That's interesting that you actually got trained. That was part of your education, was to make sure that you were filling your tank back up. Yeah. And cleaning yourself off from each patient too.
Yeah, I think I got lucky. But I mean, going into this whole like line of work, I used to have horrible boundaries. I would merge with everyone around me. I would take on everyone's stuff, which I think is not at all a unique experience for anyone who goes into a healing field. But through cultivating that kind of rooting in yourself, you can hold that space and those boundaries. And actually, I think that makes our patients, it reflects something back in them to hold resilience and boundaries within themselves. And, it's a dance. We fluctuate in and out of that and what that looks like. Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Was there a moment you had that realization? Just stepping and realizing that to really show up, because I'm going to make the assumption your boundaries in life in general before acupuncture was probably a little soft and fuzzy.
Correct, yeah.
So how did that show up for you? Was it just the teachings? Not just the teaching, was it the teachings, or did you also have a personal realization in that?
I think it just kind of steadily happened over time. Yeah. Well, there are marked moments on my experience where I held a boundary, and actually one of them was when I was seeing an acupuncturist myself. In school, I started seeing different acupuncturists, and he went deep into all the sessions, like straight into the emotional space. And it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. And meanwhile, from a professional level, there are certain legalities and we have to set boundaries. And then a lot of my friends also started seeing him as well, because it was really great work. But there was something in that where all of us would leave and kind of daydream about this person, and in like a romantic way. But it was a phenomenon I was seeing, and it was almost like, I don't know if I had this like really kind of anger come through, as in like, how can you not know the power you hold? You need to set boundaries being in this field. And I was terrified to have that conversation with him. And I went into our session, and I said, I'm so grateful for our deep work, but there's some resistance coming up in me, and it's just that I feel like we're going into the space, and there's almost like, for me, it's a reflection of this self-indulgence on his part. And I don't remember exactly how I stated it, but it was me in that moment claiming like, hey, I want to set a boundary here. We don't always have to go straight for the deep stuff. And then I reflected back to him the phenomenon that was happening with my friends who were seeing them. I didn't state their names, but I think that was a major realization for him in that moment, of the responsibility that comes with power when you're in these spaces, dealing with deep things with your patients. And it also was a huge reclaiming of my power, which, full circle, he helped me get to. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I love that speaking your truth and speaking your anger actually helped a lot of people heal in the moment. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah, and the cool thing was we both realized with his work, I got to that point. So the sessions were really helpful, and he helped me reclaim my inner power so he could hold what I told him, but also he was supportive in that way.
Kristen Phillips. Hi, welcome to the show. How would you show up for yourself?
I would have to say it's self-care. Going to the gym, taking that time. I feel like time is flying right now, and there is just not enough time in any given day. And I will make myself take time for me every day, whether it's going to the gym or taking a nice long walk to get some exercise. So that's how I show up for myself. Cooking a nice meal, having something really good to eat, nutritious when I get home from work, always makes me feel really happy. There's something that gets me really elated when I get home and have something good to eat. Yeah. And I've worked out that day, and I just feel good about me and what I've done for me. I think boundaries is a huge one too. I would have to say I'm a people pleaser, empath, and that's a tough one. It's really tough. But when you sit there and ask yourself, do I really want to do XYZ that I'm being asked to do? Do I really want to do that? No, I really don't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to say no. So I'm going to do it. By golly, I'm going to say no this time. I'm not going to do, whatever it is.
So what changed over the years? How did you evolve into the space that you're at now?
I think just honoring myself, honoring my feelings, and getting out of corporate America was absolutely such a miserable place for me. Doing that, starting Soul Wellness, was so enlightening and heart-opening and elating that I think when you finally find your lane and get in your lane and then you start taking care of yourself, things just start flowing.
I had my 11th anniversary leaving the corporate world the other day, and I forgot about it. And I just saw it at the end of the day, Facebook, something popped up. I'm like, oh, wow. And I had to reflect on the journey of how long it took and all the trials and tribulations to get to where I am today. And that kind of goes back into the whole showing up for myself, because the one thing that kept happening in my journey was show up for yourself, keep moving forward, keep moving forward. So I think of how many times I went through such hard times to get to where I am today, but all my clients who come into me and how many times they're going through. And the thing that we forget many times is we're actually our strongest when we're at our weakest moment, because we don't give up. So it's also a reflection of how hard I have worked. So many times I'll have my clients turn around and look at the timeline of their life and realize how strong they were to get to where they are today, and also how far they've actually gotten through that journey. It kind of blows people's minds when they actually stop and do this little exercise and realize, oh, damn, I have gotten far.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're so in the process of things as they're happening that we don't realize how much we actually are showing up for ourselves sometimes. And for me, at least, as a perfectionist, I had to change the way that I talk to myself. And for me, it was always oh, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. This isn't enough. Mm-hmm. And that would even seep into my self-care. It's oh, all you did was take a bubble bath. But sometimes that's what you need,
Right.
And so it was a lot about changing and mothering myself and learning how to mother myself, instead of being ruled by this inner dialogue of perfectionism, but being you know what, but you did an okay job today. And instead of seeking validation outside of myself, learning how to validate myself within through the action of it, just validate myself.
Yes.
Has been really important for me.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because my next level of showing up for myself and self-care is to not work as hard. Because a lot of times a lot of it was based on survival, having this calling and trying to leave the corporate world and show up, and slept on people's couches but something kept telling me to move forward. And now it's you know what? I know I have the office today, but no one's scheduled. I don't need to create business. I actually can go out into nature and go for a walk or go for a hike. And it's a new level of balance. And it's an evolving process. I'm still learning what my new level of balance is. But the fact that I could the Michael Anthony of today can even give myself that grace, hey, the universe gave you a day off. Take it, instead of trying to constantly create something. Because when you're in a space of stepping out of the corporate world and you're on your own for the first time in your life on some level, it's a lot of survival, a lot of how do I move this forward. It's constantly pushing the boulder up the hill, and then have a moment do I need to push it any further up the hill today? Or is it actually okay for where it is? Mm-hmm. Because I'm actually drained. I need to start filling myself up.
Mm-hmm. Again, you have to take care of yourself to be your best for everyone around you.
And we have to model that.
Right.
For our clients or our patients. We have to show up in that we can't live outside of the bubble and then expect them to live in the bubble too. So we have to embody that space.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is important also because, and I'm sure many can relate to this, but in the context of our society, we're such a go, go, go culture, mm-hmm. Speaking back to your story. So it's almost like this unconditioning, unlearning that. And sometimes, for me, I feel like I'm still learning that. I feel like this perfectionist drive, you have to achieve, exists. And there's a lot of grace and a lot of mm-hmm. beautiful things that open when we kind of step back from that. Mm-hmm. Ooh, you need to achieve, this voice in our head.
Agree. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So, Kristen, how does that work for you? Let's say universe. Is that a good word for you?
Mm-hmm.
When you kind of give yourself some grace and some space, how does the universe show up for you in that space?
That's a good question. It just feels good to give myself space. I used to have the tyrant on my shoulder, in my head, constantly. Go, 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 go. Would not give myself a break. Overproductive. I would always have a list almost every day of, 10 things that I wanted to get done. And I loved checking those things off the list. But typically I would go back to that list during the day and add 5 more things. I mean, not even humanly possible, but I would get it done. And then I would feel so good at the end of the day because I got all this stuff done. And I'm like, well, I'm wearing myself out. Mm-hmm. I'm literally aging myself every day doing this. And I finally started to give myself permission to just take a break, because then I'm better the next day. I can take 100%. A day off, and I can rest, and I can loaf around and recuperate and restore. And then I'm even better and more productive later.
Especially when we're trying to accomplish things. Like, I don't know about you two, but this feels like a calling to me. And if I'm going to walk into this calling, I need the energy to walk into the calling. Mm-hmm. So I've learned the push and pull. And I've also learned that if I didn't accomplish something, that used to affect how I viewed myself and my own version of self-love towards myself. And now I've realized this whole journey for me, and probably for many other people, it's really the act of self-love. How do we love ourselves even in our worst moments? How do we love ourselves when we failed? How do we love ourselves when put something on, we suddenly spill something all over ourselves, or in my case, get up in front of people and literally choke, getting up to speak in front of people, drinking a glass of water on the way up and literally choking on the water as I'm getting up in front of like 500 people.
Oh, fantastic.
I got up there and I choked. And maybe I told this story before, but the thing that was great though, I came back to the table and I learned such a valuable lesson because I was so alone. Oh my God, I'm going to die alone. I was in so much shame. And there's an older man next to me from West Virginia, kind of like a Grizzly Adams, just mountain man. And he leaned in and said, "You look like you're sweating bullets up there, kid." And we looked at each other and we laughed. And I realized he didn't kick me out of the tribe. He pulled me back in. And that stuck with me for years. And I started saying, how can I do that for myself? And now I started realizing how much I can love myself in moments where in the past, where I wouldn't have felt love, I didn't come up to par, or I didn't excel, or whatever it is, or I didn't get what I needed done, accomplished that day. So it's this whole journey of self-love and coming back to the heart and just realizing I am worthy of my own space. And it's not being me compared to other people. It's just me showing up with my own unique set of gifts and medicine for the world.
That's beautiful. That makes me think, like, self-love. We hear it all the time. How do you actually do that? And I'm thinking, this is making me think of my experience of this perfectionist. Part of that love is the allowance to let myself be sloppy, like you did, to let myself be imperfect and say, hey, if you show up this way and it's not perfect, it's okay. Mm-hmm. And people, in your case, are still going to accept you. He normalized your experience and said, hey, whatever, dude, let's keep going.
It was great. They even brought me vegetable lasagna next week at the farmer's market. And I never saw them again. But this man and his wife actually, they literally had a moment of just, they threw me a lifeline. And the ironic part is, for the rest of this fundraiser, I was able to give my presentation to individuals when they asked me questions. And I realized, wait, this thing was 2 hours long. I screwed up royally in the first 20 minutes of this thing. And I had 5 minutes of feeling by myself. And then suddenly the rest of the time was great because someone saw worth in me. It didn't kick me out. But the problem is that person doesn't fit in my pocket and can't walk around with me all the time. So I had to learn how to do this for myself. And that's kind of led into like inner child work, of showing up for the parts of me that felt so alone, so scared, such a failure in life, that I can go back to them and hold them safely and said, yeah, you screwed up, it's okay. What do we learn from it? I got you, I love you, we're going to do this together. And it just started really shaping the way I show up for myself, but also how I show up for my clients and teach them to show up for themselves.
Beautiful. And so that leads me to, you guys are creating an event together.
Yay.
And it's all about what? The heart, self-love, showing up for yourself. Talk to me about it.
All right, so we're doing this combined event. I'm finding that there's a lot of collaboration coming up. And having worked with Dr. Jessica, I realized there's a really beautiful space to work on some heart medicine. So on April 12th, we have this event called Heart Medicine. It's a combination of a guided hypnotic journey and a community acupuncture event. And it's also a little bit after the spring equinox. So there's this space about heaven and earth kind of coming together, also coming together around the heart space. So for us to come in and Dr. Jessica to do a community acupuncture event And as the needles go in, me start taking people on this hypnotic journey. It's this really beautiful combining of two worlds coming together and allowing people to realize that it's okay to root down, to connect to higher sources, and have that space in the middle connected and worth about self-love.
Yes, and it's all in the service of an embodied reminder of our inner resources. And in Chinese medicine, the heart is the center of our being. It is this beautiful vortex in this vessel. From a Western medicine perspective, it's continuously moving blood out of it through the arteries, and it's continuously taking in information from the veins. So within the heart is actually presence. In Chinese medicine, when your heart is healthy, it's empty. There's nothing moving through it. We don't hold on to excess. So what we're going to do is be in the present moment, and kind of each individual will explore in their own experience of what is opening here, where is the emptiness within me that I can actually rest in.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so are people seated? Are they laying on yoga mats? What's this look like?
They'll be laying on yoga mats.
And you will be administering acupuncture needles to each person. Are you feeling their pulses first, or you're going straight for the heart?
So I'll be going around feeling each individual's pulse and then feeling the meridians and seeing where the needles want to be entered. I'll have some points in mind before that kind of like connect us, but I'll see. It'll be present, and I'm going to see what each individual needs. And then I'll go around. I'll continue to go around as Michael's leading everyone through a hypnotic journey, and I'll be manipulating the needles, and yeah, it should be a beautiful
This
event.
sounds amazing. So my point was, each person is kind of getting an individualized, tailored experience.
Correct. So each individual will get their own personalized acupuncture treatment,
Okay.
but in a community setting, and while they're getting the hypnotic journey as well.
And then Michael's going to be leading everyone into a little hypnosis.
Yep, a hypnotic journey. And it's interesting, as you're saying, as you're feeling into each person, there's a community perspective, a communal perspective on even the hypnotic journey. But as I do these, it's a co-creation because I'm very aware of what people need in the room by the energy they present. And there's an individualistic journey, but there's a communal journey as well. So it's really beautiful experience. And it just seems like a no-brainer that we need to do this because people need this.
This sounds amazing. How long?
It'll be about 2 hours.
2 hours long, okay.
Yes, so when everyone gets there, we'll do a group Qigong session. I'll do an introduction, Michael will as well. And there'll be a couple prompts that people can choose from to just kind of get more present in the moment. Where are they with everything? And I'll talk a little bit about the heart, and we'll do a little share circle to begin, and then we'll go straight into the acupuncture and journey. And then we'll kind of have a closing integration session.
Okay.
We're actually also going to have some tea.
Nice.
So can you describe the Chinese herbs that we're going to be using?
Sure. So there'll be two options, and one of them, Dongui Angelica, which is used often in Western medicine as well, Western herbalism, it moves through the blood, which the blood is the realm of the heart. And as we're in spring, we are connected with the element of wood, which nourishes the heart, nourishes the fire element, and it also has to do with blood. So this herb is all about returning home, is quite literally one of its nicknames. And another herb that we'll have, Huangqi astragalus, that is more about our fatigued energy reserves and waking them up and kind of reconnecting with the clear qi that runs through us. So one is more descending into ourselves, rooting into ourselves, and one of the herbs is more ascending. And from that place where we're rooted, ascending upward.
And I love this. I love that astragalus has an upward mobility because with the spring equinox and it's spring, it's literally about seeds going down into the ground to get the nourishment to then rise up and be expressed into the world with their own unique medicine, their own unique sense, and just their joie de vivre of how they show up in the world. So I love how this is all coming together at this particular time. We're coming out of the winter, so it's
today.
Today. Hey, today. So it's the time. It's time for people to kind of take the nourishment they've been given and lean into more of that self-care, that self-worth, and then just express your medicine for the world. I think this is right on time. It's going to be perfect.
I think it's beautiful. It sounds amazing. And so, obviously, spaces are limited.
We have 7 spaces. Yes.
Wow, this is going to be intimate, nice.
You're going to get a lot of personalized service in this space, and you'll have space to spread out. You'll have space to receive. And then we're going to process after and sit in as we drink the tea and just kind of unwind. And you'll have time to be heard, to be seen, to voice what you want to voice, whatever you showed up in that space, whatever the wisdom that you gained. It's going to be a really, really beautiful event. And this is most likely the beginning of multiple times through the seasons we'll do these types of things.
I hope so. This sounds really incredible.
I'm super excited about it.
Me too. Very much so. And I'm happy to be doing it with Michael. Yeah.
And tell us again the date and time.
It is Saturday, April 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. So it's going to be a good time to unwind and also arise at the same time. So it's Saturday night, April 12th, here at Soul Wellness.
Yeah, and it's right before a full moon. The full moon will be later in that evening. So already emotions and things will be coming up to the surface. And we're just going to be present with that.
Tell everybody how to reserve their space.
So you can feel free to reach out to Dr. Jessica or myself individually. You can also find our information on the Soul Wellness website. There will be a link coming soon. I just realized I didn't create it at this moment, but I'm on that today. But reach out to us individually. We'll get you in this space.
So www.soulwellness.net, you can find a bio and information about both Michael and Dr. Jessica.
We do have the option to buy one ticket, but we also have a deal if you buy two tickets, because we realize in this space of showing up for yourself and self-worth, it's actually important at times to also lean on people and find the safe people you can lean on. And Dr. Jessica, do you want to say something on that?
Yeah, part of my own self-care and showing up for myself has been realizing that I don't have to do it all on my own, and that not everything has to be initiated within myself, but knowing when to lean on other people and to reach out for support and to show up with a buddy.
So one thing I learned in that, and thank you for saying that, is because I had to find out who were my safe people in life. So as I was learning to stretch into my self-worth and learn about self-love, I had to kind of experiment with the people I knew were safe. So if they needed to check me, they'd check me. But I didn't go out in the world like into Walmart and just be like, hey, look at me, love me, and like just do this thing. I had to like find the safe spaces so I can explore what it feels like. Because for many people, this is a brand new experience. And it's a refined experience as you go along. So find the safe people in your life and offer them the same grace. And maybe you might have to ask them for the grace. I'm practicing this thing. Can you allow me to, you be my safe person as I explore into this space? I think it's really important because we're going from something that we did for so long that most likely doesn't work the way it used to, if it ever worked for you. So allow yourself to unwind in the safe spaces and practice there.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for being with us today and creating this event. I'm so excited to have you hosting this here, and I can't wait to see how it goes and for future events.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to hold this space.
Thank you, Kristen, for holding this space of Soul Wellness, which allows so many beautiful people to show up and serve the community and allows the community to have a safe space to come into. So this is a very important space in Mooresville and Lake Norman. So just thank you for your role in the calling that you showed up for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you for joining us on another enriching episode of Soul Wellness with Kristen. We hope the insights shared today have resonated with you, inspiring a deeper connection to your own journey towards holistic well-being. If you enjoyed today's episode, we invite you to subscribe, share, and reach out. Your feedback fuels our mission to bring you meaningful content that educates, empowers, and uplifts. Remember, you are a vital part of this community, and together we're creating a ripple effect of positive change.